Now we're going to be looking at dealing with entitlement mentality. Before I go straight into that conversation, I would like for us to School of Parenting is actually starting out with the YouTube channel, and I'd like you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. The link for you to be able to subscribe will be dropped in the comment section. So all you need to do is click on the link and just subscribe. So please, we appreciate if you subscribe to our YouTube channel because we're going to be having a lot of content dropped on our YouTube channel. So thank you, everyone. So thank you. Dealing with entitlement mentality. Now, this is something that the word entitlement mentality is a word we use a lot in this day and time. We use the word, this person has an entitlement mentality, that person has an entitlement mentality. It's something we use a lot around us. But sometimes when you ask people, okay, what is actually the meaning of entitlement mentality? And some people start to think, okay, what does it actually mean? Now, in this conversation, we're going to be talking about how to deal with entitlement mentality as a parent. How do you deal with it when it comes to your children? Do you deal with it when it comes to you as a parent? Remember what we always say, according to Coach Wendy Ologe, that parenting begins with you, not your child. Parenting starts with you, the parent. So it's very important that even as we talk about dealing with entitlement mentality, the greatest way to impact and affect your children is for you to also deal with an entitlement mentality if you have one. So if we talk about entitlement mentality, we're all just talking about a mentality that is rooted in the belief that I have the right to have everything. I have a right for everything to be done for me. I do not need to work. Everybody should be at my beck and call. And when this does not happen, I have a right to blame people. I have a right to resent people. I have a right to be ungrateful. I have a right to just punish people because I feel that I am the most, in quotes, important person in that vicinity, in that community, in that sphere. And everyone must adhere or succumb to my bidding. So irrespective of if I'm doing anything, whatever I need, I must get. Irrespective of the fact that I'm not working, if I make a demand, my demand should be met. And we find out a lot in our children, in some children, not all our children. We find that a child just has the mentality that everything has to be provided for me. Everything I need now, here and now, must be given to me. I don't need to do anything. I don't need to take responsibility. As far as you are my parent, you need to provide everything. But we're not raising children that are irresponsible. We're raising responsible children, children that will be able to be independent, children that will be able to be contributors in their world. There's something I always say, that you raise a contributor, not a consumer. So we're raising children that will be contributors, and contributors do not have an entitlement mentality. Okay, I think we're back. The network today is really giving a lot of stress, but I believe that it's going to go smoothly. So, as I was saying, that we need to raise children that are responsible, and it's a lot of work. Parenting is hard work, but for every one person to be a parent, then you are be given the ability, you are being endowed with the capability to be a parent. So, when we go on the journey of parenthood, we must understand that it's not just a walk in the park. It's not just parenting by default. And that is why knowledge is critical. That is why wisdom is the principal thing. For you to be an effective parent, you must have knowledge, not just any knowledge, the right knowledge. You must have wisdom. You must be able to apply the knowledge you've received, not just amass knowledge and keep them in your storehouse and say, okay, I know this, I know that, I know that. Of what use is knowledge if you cannot implement it and make it produce result for you? So the essence while we go through School of Parenting online conversation, while we do a lot of talk, a lot of conversations here, it's not just because we want to bombard you or enrich your knowledge bank. It's for you to have enough wisdom to be able to go through your parenting journey and produce results and raise kings and priests. that will be contributors in their society. And the only way you do that is through intentional parenting. So what you're doing right now is part of intentional parenting. Being a part of School of Parenting online conversation is part of intentional parenting, because I believe no man is an island of every knowledge. Nobody knows it all. And so we learn, because parenting evolves. The way parenting was done 20 years ago is not the way we parent our children today. So if you're using the same tools you were using or that was being used 20 years ago, majority of them, it may not produce the same results today, because the world is evolving. Parenting is evolving. The generations are evolving. You have Gen Alpha, you have Gen Zs, and you're wondering, how do they think? But if a parent is not filled with enough knowledge and wisdom, you cannot practically raise the child that you have in your home. So dealing with an emotional mentality. Now, the good thing is that as parents, we have the best interest of our children at heart. That is the truth. Every parent loves their children, and you want the best for your child. But sometimes the way we communicate love, I don't want to use the word, is questionable. Now, you say, okay, I love my child, and tell your child, don't worry, I love you. And that's the reason why I don't want you to do anything. I'll take care of everything. I don't think you have the capacity to do it well. You know, when a child, for example, a 4-year-old spills water on the floor, and the child tries to get a mop stick to mop up the water, and as a mother or a father, you say, no, don't worry, just leave it. You can't do it properly. I'm going to do it myself. The truth is that what are you trying to teach that child? He or she may not do it properly, may not do it in the perfect way that you expect, but letting the child to take responsibility is part of training your children not to have an entitlement mentality. Because when you keep doing those chores and those things for them over and over again, it creates a mindset for them that they feel that everything should be done for them. And that is why a child can go to school and is wondering why a teacher is asking he or her to feed themselves. And maybe a 6-year-old, because at home, that child is being fed by the parents. Because the parent feels, if I let you feed yourself, you're going to stain your clothes. You're going to mess up the floor. I'm going to have double work. Now, one of the process or one of the pathways to training your children is to allow them make mistakes. You do not raise perfect children. They are not perfect individuals anywhere. So if you're scared of the fact that you can't do it perfectly, you can't do it well, I have to do it myself. No, let me do it myself. I don't want double work. Oh, I can do it. You are already raising a child that will be entitled, a child that feels that everything must be done for them. And so when they go into the society, they expect that people should do the same that you do to them at home. But that is not the way life runs. So it starts from your home. So it's very critical that we must learn to be better parents. You must learn to tell your child in your communication, I believe in your capacity. I believe in your abilities. Now, I know that you're not going to do it perfectly the first time, probably the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, or to infinity, I don't know. But the truth is that I know that you have the ability, and if you stay on this task and you begin to do it over and over again, you gain skill and you become someone that will gain experience and you'll be able to do it better. But denying your children responsibility is taking them out of the process of growth. And so they cannot get to the destination that you envisage in your mind. So if you have a picture in your mind of the kind of child you want, now there is a process of getting your child to that destination. And one of the process is not denying them from responsibilities. We do not want to raise irresponsible children in our society. The reason why we have a lot of baby men is because as parents, we have deprived them of the right to responsibility. We have deprived them of the right to take responsibility. And so we have baby men in the society. We have baby women that cannot rise up and stand and take responsibilities because in the home front, they've been trained to depend on their parents. But when you get into the word, there's a part of independence. And that is one thing we must keep training our children in this generation, in this dispensation. So instead of communicating, I love you, let me do everything for you. I want to make your life easy. Yes, we want to make the life of our children easy. You know, one of the ways to make the life of your child easy is to gift them with the tools that will enable them to thrive in your absence. That's one of the ways to make life easy for them, because you will not always be here. You will not always be there. When they leave your home and go into the society, are you going to pack your bags and go with them? No. You can't go with them everywhere. There are stages. Now, they may be in your house for a few years. When they pack their bags The one of the ways you make their life easy is to equip them with the necessary tools, empower them with the necessary skills, life skills that will help them survive when they get into the world. That's one of the ways to make the life of your children easy. Someone said something that when your children have left your house, and that is when you get the report card of your parenting, because that is when you will know if for sure that all the investment you have made, probably in 16 years, in 17 years, in 18 years, has really produced results. You get your report card when you're out of your house, because you will not be there to help them make decisions. You'll not be there to help them choose friends. You'll not be there to help them navigate the storms of life. So you want to make life of your children easy, equip them with life skills, equip them with tools, put them in the right path. Then you'll be sure that their lives will become easier because you will not always be there. So let your message be something like, I love you, I believe in you, I know what you are capable of. I know that you have the ability to take responsibility. I know you have the ability to work. I know you have the ability to deliver. That should be your communication. So it's not just, I will do the laundry, because I do not believe that when I give it to you, you're going to do it properly. It's not just, I will do your assignment for you because I expect you to be, and what's the word now, A-level student. So I'm going to do your assignment for you so that you don't fail anyone because I expect you to be on top. That's not the right way to go about it. If not, you're going to raise children with entitlement mentality. Now, children need to learn personal responsibility. I mean, need to get out of, and you may need to get out of their way little and empower them. So, and one of the ways you do that is to learn to do less, especially when it comes to your boys. Now, when you're raising men, you have to get to the point that you give them responsibilities. Now, even when you're raising women or raising girls, but when we're raising a boy child, you have to be able to give him some space and give him responsibilities. One of the things you gift your sons with is teaching them to take responsibility, teaching them to have self-control, and teaching them to be resilient. It's very critical. And so you don't raise, like I said, baby men in society. So sometimes as a parent, you need to pull back and allow your children make the decisions, take the responsibilities. Now they're going to fall sometimes, and that is why you are there to be their guide. You're going to be able to pick them up and say, no, you didn't do this well. What do you think? Do you think you'd have done it better? You must engage their minds. You can't make all the decisions for your children. You can make all the choices for your children. You need to be able to engage their mind. They should be able to think. Don't raise children that can't think for themselves. A child is matured and a child goes out of your house and needs to make a decision and needs to call you first. Like, mommy, what do you think about? I'm not saying children should not get advice from their parents, but when a child cannot make a simple decision without calling you up, and sometimes as parents we brag about it, like, oh, my children cannot do anything without me. Flimsy for these network issues. I had to change devices again. So sorry. Um, so sorry. So, I'll try to continue from where I stopped. I really pray the network will just be stable for us today. Okay. So, the mentality, the entitlement mentality doesn't just grow overnight. It starts from seeds that we sow in our children throughout our parenting journey, and it has to do with our parenting decisions. So as we begin to drop the seeds, it begins to grow and begins to germinate. So if you ask me a question, why do children develop entitlement mentality? Why do children feel entitled? Or even parents, why do parents feel entitled? Why does any individual feel entitled? Now, the sense of entitlement is developed because of how children are raised. The way you raise your child will determine how your child will turn out. Now, every man is a product of his upbringing, according to family systems engineering. Yeah, family systems engineering, good. Now I become an associate practitioner. Wonderful. Now, every parent, every individual is a product of his upbringing, his environment, and his emotional significant experience. So your children is sum total of the values you put in them, the belief system you put to them, the cultural exposure they have, the environment they're exposed to, the significant emotional experience, the things that go through their life, or the emotional experiences they have throughout their life. So that is like a sum total of your children become. So it's very important that the seeds you sow during your parenting journey will determine if you're raising an entitled child or you're raising a child that understands that everyone in this world is not at the beck and call. And that's the reality of life. Everyone is not at your beck and call. Now, every man has a life to live, and the world does not stand still because you are there. The world keeps going around, and everyone has to take responsibility, fulfill their purpose, do what is needful, do what they need to do, and get to their destination. The world is not going to stand still for your children. That you say, okay, because this is my child, so everybody is going to stop whatever they are doing and just focus on my child. You don't raise your children with that kind of mentality. That they get into an environment and they feel that because they have arrived, everybody stops whatever they're doing and just pay attention to them, pay homage to them, do whatever they want to do, satisfy them until they're satisfied. Nobody does anything. And a lot of children like that in this generation, they just feel that whatsoever I need, whatsoever I want now, everybody must attend to me. No, it doesn't work like that. So we must be careful the seeds we sow in our children as they grow up. Teach them to know that they should be contributors. Teach them to know that everyone is not going to stand still because they are there. The world is not going to stand still because they are there. Teach them to be responsible. Teach them to be diligent. Teach them to be hardworking. Teach people, yes, very critical. They need to learn to manage their expectations when they're around people. Now, one thing that is critical is that we need to understand the signs of entitlement. What are the signs? When you see this, you know that this child has an entitlement mentality. Number one is nothing is ever enough. A child gets to the point, I don't know if you have seen children, and nothing you do for them is ever enough. You do something and they're like, this nothing. What have you done? Have you not seen my friends? I can you not see what they do for them? Nothing is ever enough. An entitled child will never appreciate what you do for them. To them, what you have done is so little. You should have done more. So a sign that a child is entitled is that a child that nothing is ever enough for that child. Whatever you do is trivialized. It's like, oh, this is so little, you can do more. Have you seen children that, for example, in Nigeria, you give them maybe 100 naira, and they look at the 100 naira and like, seriously? Seriously? You should be giving me 1,000 naira. And you're wondering, you got 100 naira notes and you've not even said thank you, and you're like, seriously? 1,000 naira. Nothing you do for an entitled child is enough. Nothing you ever do, because they expect more. They expect that you should do more for them. Yes, everything you should be doing should be for them. So even if nobody else in the house is provided for, you should go out of your way and just do everything to make them comfortable. And whatever you do, they don't even value it. They don't. So another sign you see of an entitled child is the inability to handle being told no. Now, entitled children cannot handle no. And as a parent, one thing you must learn to do is that you can never always be a yes parent. Anything your child says, yes, my love. Anything, yes, my love. No, you cannot be a yes parent.
You must learn to say no. And the fact that you say no doesn't mean you love your child less. And you must make your children understand that sometimes when you say no, it doesn't actually mean that you love them less. It's just because you want the best for them. Now, sometimes my daughter does a lot of things and she begins to throw some tantrums, very because I said no to her and the rest. And she's just feeling like, oh, mommy doesn't like me, or this. And I call her and like, she's a preschooler. And like, the reason I'm telling you no is not because I don't love you. It's not because I enjoy that you're screaming and you're crying. It's just because I want the best for you. Because you may not necessarily know what's best for you at this age, at this point in time. And so I have to stand my ground and say no. So as a parent, the fact that you say no to your child does not mean you don't love your child. So an entitled child cannot handle being told no. And most of the times they throw tantrums because they can't have their way. Now, most children throw tantrums when they can't have their way. But they throw it to an extent. And handling tantrums is a lot. Because sometimes you feel so frustrated, like, okay, just have it. So you can have your peace. But the truth is that taking that easy way out is not training your child. You're not helping that child. Because the next time that child will get to the point and understand that, okay, if she says no or he says no, if I throw the tantrum for 1 hour, or if I begin to scream down this house, she'll get frustrated, and you give me what I want. So you're beginning to sell to your child the way your child can deal with you. So you must learn to be able to say no and stand your ground. As far as what you're saying no to is for the benefit of your child. So saying no does not mean you don't love your child. Yes, especially what you were saying no to is for the benefit of the child. So another sign of an entitled child is the belief that rules apply to others, but it doesn't apply to them. Now, have you seen children that feel that, all this rule is not for me, it's for everybody apart from me? That child is an entitled child because the child feels that everything that applies here, I can get away with anything. So it doesn't apply to me. And sometimes when parents go out of their way to make it look like every rule applies to every other child, but their child should be exempted, it doesn't make sense. Now, for example, in a school, now there's this punctuality rule. Every child that comes beyond so and so time will be sent back home. And your child comes late. Now, the rule applies to everybody. Why do you feel it will not apply to your child? And you come to school and you start bragging, you start ranting, you start disrupting the activities of school because you feel that your child should not be part of the rule. Your child should attend class and should not be sent back home because the child came beyond the time stipulated by the school. Now you're raising a child that be entitled, that feels that no rule should apply to them. And when they get to a point that they get into a workplace as they grow, they'll feel that whatsoever applies to every staff does not affect them because they're entitled. They're entitled. They feel that everybody is under their feet. Yes. Now we're actually raising kings and priests. But even as much as we're raising kings, we're raising children that in their kingship they can serve. In their kingship, they understand the point of respect. In their kingship, they understand the fact that everyone should be treated with a level of respect and dignity. So when you have children, one of the signs is that children that feel that the rule does not count, the rule does not apply to them, are entitled. And they won't go far. You can't raise your children with a notion that they can follow the rules. They can't follow the rules. They are above the law. And it shows even in your home. Now, most times as parents, we set rules for our families and we feel that the guiding rules applies to only our children. It doesn't apply to us because we are the parents. What are you telling your child? You're above the law now. So the child gets to a point and like, I beg. It applies to everybody, it does not apply to me. Because your children see the way you live and most of the times they copy it. So you're telling your child that you must live under the rules and your child sees you in the house. That your rule is that when we're eating dinner, nobody is supposed to be with gadgets. And mommy and daddy comes and they start Facebooking, social media. And I'm wondering, so the rule applies to only us, it doesn't apply to our parents. So what are you trying to teach? So when you raise an entitled child, one of the signs you see is that to that child, the rules does not count. The rules does not affect them. The rules is for every other person minus them. Every other person minus me. So what's another sign you see in an entitled child? the craving for unreasonable attention from one or more people close to them. What did I say? Unreasonable attention. I'm not just talking about attention, because the truth is that we must give our children attention. I always say something during every SOP online conversation, that to a child, love is felt time. So for every of your children or every other child, you must spend time with them. Every child needs to be given attention. It's one of the ways you show love to your children. You give them attention. You don't ignore them, you spend time with them. But when a child demands unreasonable attention, a child feels that you can't do any other thing. All you need to do is focus on them. Now, you can do nothing for yourself. You can't even spend time with their siblings. Every time you do that, they're throwing tantrums, they're angry, they're wondering that everything, all the attention, all the love, all the affection, all the time should be spent on them. That child is entitled. Unreasonable attention. And sometimes you find out that we are the ones as parents that have nurtured it. We fanned the flame. And when we get the results of the food we have cooked, we begin to complain. And some parents are like, I don't know where this child is from. I don't know where this child came from. From your house. The child came from your house. You raised the child. You cooked it. You put all the ingredients and you formed the child. So that sometimes the notion like, I don't know where the child came from. I don't know where the child came from your house. I know there's the influence of environment, but the truth is that they learn a lot of things from you as a parent. So when a child shows signs of always wanting unreasonable attention, it is likely that child is entitled. It's likely the child is entitled. Another sign is refusal to accept responsibility for things they do wrong. When a child refuses to take responsibility, even as parents, sometimes we refuse to take responsibility for what we do wrong. And we try to find a way to rigmarole the whole thing and try to explain, you see, and try to like just wanting to dodge taking responsibility for wrongdoing. And as parents, sometimes we do that. You find a way to explain it off. Because some parents feel that every parent is infallible. Who said that a parent doesn't make mistakes? You are human. You make mistakes. And even as a parent, when you do make mistakes, what is the right thing to do? You apologize. You tell your child, I am sorry, I made a mistake. Apologizing to your child doesn't make you less of a parent. It just makes you to be seen as superhuman in the eyes of your children. And it teaches your children to know that they can make mistakes, and when they do, they should apologize. So one of the signs you see is the refusal to accept responsibility when they do wrong. Because they feel that, no, what did I just do? I did nothing. I can get away with it. In fact, I'm not under the rules. I didn't make a mistake. I made a mistake. Somebody should clean up my mess. And sometimes as parents, we keep cleaning up the messes, and we think we are doing our children a favor. And the nearest future, we find that we have raised children that can't think for themselves, children that can't do nothing for themselves, that becomes liabilities because we keep cleaning up their messes. A child makes a mistake or goes through broke a rule in school, and there's a consequence, and you're trying to say, no, my child should not go through and you know with all reasonable doubt that your child did that, and you pull the child away from the school and take the child to another school because you don't want the child to face consequence. What kind of child are you raising? Because the child gets to a point and have the mentality that I will always be bailed out by my parents. You can't keep bailing out your children. You raise children that will never take responsibility for their wrongdoing. Because they have the mentality that mommy will bail me out, daddy will bail me out. Your child sits for an exam and doesn't pass the exam, and you're saying, no, this school did not try. You take the child to another school and promote the child to the next class. What are you trying to do? How long will you keep blaming your child? If the consequence is for the child to repeat the class, let the child repeat the class. Because in the long run, you are teaching your child to take responsibility. You're teaching your child that they must take ownership of everything they do that is wrong. Simple. But sometimes we feel that most times as parents, we tend to feel like, oh, I'll be ashamed, my child. Your child's shame is not your shame. If they get to understand, your children get to understand that when they do wrong, they will take the consequences. They tend to take responsibility and do right. When you feel like, hey, if I do this thing wrong, now mom will not be ashamed to be embarrassed. She'll find a way to bail me out. She'll find a way to bail me out. You're going to raise an entitled child, and that child will not be able to go far. Do I have questions? Do I have comments? Do I have contributions? Are you following me? If you're following me, can I see some Comments on the comment box. If you're following me, let me know that you're here with me and I'm not just talking to myself. Okay, dealing with the entitlement mentality. We're actually talking about the signs that shows that your child is entitled. Do I have people that with me on this conversation? Is there anything you've learned so far? Are there questions? Are there contributions, comments? Can I see them? Okay, another sign of being entitled is when you blame others for all the bad things that have happened in your life. When you play the blame game, when a child begins to play the blame game, you know that the child is most likely entitled. Now, everything that happens to the child is because, it's because of my friend. I don't know why he did not communicate with her. That is why. It's because my father did not do this and that. It's because, and they tend to just point accusing fingers at people to take responsibility for where they are. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. You have to wake up. When you raise a child that thinks to want to, thank you, Kelvin, Daniel, thank you, Vitubo, Daniel, thank you, peace, God, on which I can see you. Thank you, Mr. H. Thank you, Brume, thank you, every one of you. Now, when you raise a child that just feels that they can just cast blames, and that's part of shifting responsibility. Why didn't you pass that subject in class? Oh, that my teacher does not know how to teach you. Every time the teacher comes late, the teacher doesn't even mark our corrections. So why is it that you're always going to school? Oh, we're coming late to school. My mom does not wake me up early in the morning. I don't know why she doesn't set the alarm clock. And doesn't, when she even hears it ring, she will not come and wake me up from sleep. Abba. Entitlement. The mentality that you feel that everybody should do things for you, even at the expense of their own self, just because you have to be comfortable. So one of the signs of an entitled child is blaming others for all the bad things that happened in their life. Okay? Let me give you an illustration. A man or a woman is now 45 and tends to keep blaming the reason why he or she is where they are today is because their father did not pay their fees almost 20 years ago. How? 20 years ago. And you still hold on to it that's why my life is like this. So they didn't pay my fees. So all the 20 years, you cannot just brush yourself up and just take responsibility. That's the kind of children we're raising. You should raise children that should be able to take the bull by the horns and decide that I cannot sit here. This is not my place. This is not my resting place. I am moving. Children that can think on the spot. Children that can be creative. Children that are innovative. Children that will take. Children that will not take. They will not take no for an answer from the word, and they will not stand defeated and not just sit wallowing. They're like, oh, the reason why I'm like this because the word did not hand me that money. Oh, see my life. Nobody could even just have mercy and pity on me, and nobody could just favor me. I'm just waiting for favor and not get. The truth is that favor comes after you have worked. Favor does not jump on any man. Teach your children that favor, they are praying for favor. It is the man that has worked that is favored. Favor does not jump on anybody like that. Yes, I know we say labor is good, but favor is better. It is he that has labor that is favored. Somehow. Somehow. So there is no miracle that just happening everywhere. Just say your child, okay, don't worry, the life will just be sweet like that. How? They must learn the skills. They must learn to take responsibility. So another sign you have of an entitlement child is that they want what they want when they want it and not considering the feelings of any other person. They don't care. An entitlement child doesn't even care how you feel at that point. If you like, discomfort yourself. If you like, you don't have to be happy, but I have to be happy. I don't know if you have seen children like that, but I've seen. If you like, don't eat, but me, I must eat. If you like, break your head. If you like, be sick. For me, I have to be smiling. That's an entitled child. That's if they won't have entitled parents like that. I don't care about how you feel. I'm the most important person here, and you must treat me as such. Now we raise our children to be important, but we raise them to have feelings. They should have empathy. That is one thing you should teach your children: empathy. To be able to put themselves in the shoes of another person. To be able to feel what other people feel. To be able to get to the point that they can sacrifice. So an entitled child doesn't care how you feel. All he cares about myself, me, myself, and I. Discomfort yourself, please me. I don't care how you do it, but I must be comfortable. I must be happy. I must have my way. Now, another sign of being entitled is the inability to handle rejection and interpret it as lack of love or care. Now, the truth is that everybody must encounter one form of rejection in life. And some people don't just want them around their space. So even when rejection comes, they know that this does not define me. I know who I am. I know who I am. In life and the rejection very well. So every child must be taught that sometimes they will be rejected, but it doesn't mean that they are less, and it shouldn't affect their self-esteem. And that is why you must build the self-esteem of your children. Let them know who they are. You must understand their identity. So even when rejection comes, they know that this does not define me. I know who I am. It doesn't define who I am. It's just a phase in my life, and it doesn't set the record of who I truly am. For example, a child brings an idea and said, okay, let's do our vacation in so and so place, maybe in Hawaii or Paris or wherever. And the parents rejected the idea. And the child begins to feel like, oh, they don't love me, they don't care about me. How can they reject my idea? No. You must train your children to understand that they can prefer ideas. They can even prefer advice, and it will not always be taken. It will not always be taken. So an entitled child most likely cannot handle rejection. And sometimes when you find children that can learn to handle rejection, even learn to handle no, you find children that become suicidal and depressed. And you wonder sometimes why. And they just tell you one thing, they're like, this one, because they've not been trained to know that they don't live in a yes, yes word. Everything will never be yes, yes. That sometimes they'll be rejected. Not necessarily because they are not good enough, because people don't just want them around their space. So we must train our children. Now, children are more concerned about themselves and themselves alone. I've said that are entitled. They rarely lift a finger to help anybody. One of the signs of an entitled child is that they rarely lift a finger to help anybody. They are the ones that always demand for help. Now, when it comes to please help me do this, no, 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 I'm busy, I'm tired, I can't do that, no. But when it's time, I need help. Come and help me. But they cannot be of service to people. You have to raise children that can serve. Now they should be willing, be excited to be of service to humanity. Don't raise children that are just entitled and feel that everybody should serve them. They must have an understanding that in some times or in life, they must be of service to people. Children that know that when they give, it is in giving that they truly receive. It is in giving that they are truly blessed, not always receiving. So you must raise children that work with the mentality of servanthood, of being servants, of being stewards, of being people that can serve others, not just crossing their legs and wait every time to be served. It is a man that has truly served that is served. Teach your children. Teach them. An entitled child most likely will show the sign of always wanting help, but will never lift up a finger to help anybody. Never. And we encourage them most times in our house by doing everything for them. Sometimes I look at some parents. A parent will have teenagers in their house, and yet the woman cannot have a sense of rest. The mother still does everything in that house, makes the beds of the children, does the laundry of the children, cooks all the meals, ensure the house is clean. And she has 13-year-olds, she has 14-year-olds, even 10-year-olds, 8, 7, 6, they can do something. Every child has the ability to do something. Give to them responsibility based on their age appropriate responsibilities. You have a 4-year-old, you say, no, the 4 years cannot wash their undies. Where now? Do everything. And that is why most times we find out that we're overly stressed. And before you know, you are yelling in your house, you are frustrated, you are heaping the tank, as a parent, you haven't throwing tantrums. And you're wondering why the child is not throwing tantrums. Because sometimes we feel that they are not grown, they are still babies. You give them tasks that are age appropriate. A toddler can pick up his plate or her plate after eating and take it to the kitchen. A toddler can clear their mess, they can pick up the grains of rice and take it to the kitchen. A preschooler can mop, can try to sweep. It may not be as clean as you want, but they can do something. Can do something. Yes, training. And we have teenagers in our home and it looks like we don't have people to help. And you're crying, I'm so stressed, I need help. The help is inside your house, your children. Raise them properly. Raise them properly. I've seen 4-year-olds have started 5 years, they started cooking. And you say, oh, this is my 15-year-old child. Oh, God cannot cook. Oh, this is my boy, he's a kingo. He has to be safe. He cannot do anything in the house. And you're raising an entitled boy that becomes an entitled man, that becomes an entitled husband, and becomes an entitled father. So what are we doing to our society? What are we doing to our society? So we need to wake up as parents. We need to wake up. Another sign you can see is that they can't handle failures. It's likely they can't handle failures. Another is that they expect to be rescued from mistakes. I've said that they expect to be bailed out continuously. You have to keep bailing them out, bailing them out, bailing them out. Yes. My dear, stop bailing your children out. Let them face the consequences. There are things they do that they should be able to face the consequences. How can a child go to school and not do their assignments? And the child is being disciplined and you're shouting. Let the child face the consequence now. Or that they say, no, the child will not go to school today because the child did not finish the assignment. I don't want the child to face the consequence. And you call this class and say, my child is not feeling well. Which child? And your child is listening to you. You are making an excuse that the child knows that the child is fine. Because you feel that if the child goes to school, the child will be disciplined. The child would have done the assignment. So we must raise children that take responsibility. Or the child is about going to school, the same assignment. Like that, you just bring your right and use your left hand and you write it, you scribble it so that you look like the child that wrote it. You're not deceiving anybody, you're deceiving yourself. So that you look like the child wrote, you use your left hand, just scribble, 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 scribble. Let the child take it to school like that. Next time the child will know that they will do the assignment. Yes. Or your child, your teenager, failed to wash their uniform. And it's now Monday morning. And they're crying, mommy, my uniform is now wear it to school. Next time, you will prepare on time. It's part of training. Teach your children to be responsible. To be responsible. You give your child a monthly allowance of a particular amount of money, and the child is up to you for the month, and the child finishes the money 1 week and comes to you, Mommy, I don't have money. I say, oh, my baby, let me give you more money. What are you teaching the child? To be financially responsible. That you are the continuous ATM machine. Oh my God. Let's continue. Our time is fast spent. I need to rush up now. Okay, I've talked about the science of entitlement. So how do you handle entitlement? How do you handle entitlement? If you are with me, let me see some emojis. Let me know that you are with me and you are following me, please. Okay, handling entitlement. How do you handle entitlement? Learn to say no to your children when it's required that you say no. Remember what I said, you can always be a yes parent. You can't. Learn to say no when it's required that you say no. Do not do everything for them. They are quite capable of doing certain things for themselves. Now, for example, my daughter was like, she wanted to put on her clothes herself. And I was wondering, you put on your clothes by yourself. Anyway, I gave her the clothes. And surprisingly, she could put on her clothes herself. If she starts dressing herself, is it not me she's helping? Yes. But you say, no. Come, I have to button the shirt. No, let me help. When you give them responsibility, you grow them. When you give them responsibility, you're teaching them skills. You're teaching them skills. So do not do everything for them. They are quite capable of making their beds. They are quite capable of washing their dishes. They are quite capable of doing their assignment themselves. The child cannot do assignment. I'm not saying that sometimes they don't understand, but you must be there. If mommy or daddy has not come, they will not open that book. They were the ones that went to school. They were the ones the teacher taught. Were you in their classroom? You were not there when they solved that math. You were not there when they taught them that, hey, which subject is that now? But they are waiting for you to come. Then when you come now, you start looking at, trying to understand how to calculate. The child was in class. The child should do the assignment. Except it looks very difficult and they just say, please come and assist me. Know that if you are not seated, a child cannot read for test or what? No. We need to grow. We need to help our children. We need to help our children. So, when you give them tax, the tax will not give them. Now, teach your children to be responsible for their actions. Teach them to apologize when they do something wrong and not just proving a point to try to make excuses. So teach them. They should be responsible for their actions. Let them take responsibility for their actions. Very important. Now teach your children the value of working hard. The value of working hard. Every child should be taught the dignity of diligence, the dignity of hard work. Teach your children that it profits when they work. They cannot just sit down and wait for inheritance. Oh my God. And the child just relaxes at home and say, no, I'm waiting for the inheritance of my father. And before you know, some parents are praying for their parents to go so they collect the inheritance. Teach your children to work, that they can be able to do things for themselves and not just banking on what mommy and daddy has raised. Yes, I know every man should be able to provide for his household, but your children should be able to generate wealth for themselves. And before you know, it becomes transgenerational wealth. Not just crossing their leg and expecting that, okay, when mommy and daddy exit, I'll just take over the company and just sit down as the chairman of the board of trustees. What is that? And that is why most of those students, they will squander the money and just bring the company down. Teach them the value of work, the dignity of work, the dignity of labor. It will not kill them, it will only make them better. And it's for your own good, because when your report card comes, when they leave your house, you'll be proud. You'll be a proud parent that you've actually invested the right skills. Okay, so it's very important. I'm going to say some things as worthy of note. Tantrums should not necessarily be a reason to give in to your child. Now, the child is throwing tantrums. Like I said, when children understand, children study you, and they know that this pattern works for you, they'll keep doing it. Now, your child knows that when she screams and shouts for like 10 minutes, you get tired and you say, take it. Next time, she'll keep screaming for 5 minutes. If you feel it, she'll increase it to 20 minutes. Now, the fact that they throw tantrums doesn't mean you must give in to them. Doesn't mean you should not stand your ground. I know sometimes somebody says something that sometimes just, what's the word that the person uses? I may not use it exactly, but sometimes just pretend to be deaf. You're not hearing it. You're not hearing it. You're not hearing it. You're not hearing it. So your no should mean your no. The consequences in your home should be consequence. As a parent, you must learn to be consistent. Consistency is key, very critical. So we said a lot of things in this edition of SOP Online Conversation, dealing with entitlement mentality. Thank you, Reverend Christina Ahmed. My husband is on this conversation. Thank you so much. And he says, your children should be able to take responsibility and do some things themselves. Don't make them a liability by doing everything for them. Even God, the creator of the universe, does not do everything for us. Yes. There's a common saying that God gave you brain, so you give him rest. So God is not, is it God that is coming to your house to sweep your house? Or is God that's helping you, driving your car to work? So you must be able to give your children responsibility. God gave us responsibility. No, when God made Adam, he told Adam to tend to the garden. He gave him responsibility. He did not say, I'm God, I'll come and be taking care of the garden. He said, take care of the garden. He gave him responsibility. So it's very important. He gave him work. He didn't say, okay, I've made the garden, come and just solve baby girl life. So baby girl life is good. But he didn't just say, okay, come and just, he gave him work. Work does not kill anybody. It will not kill your children. It will make them better. To make them better. Train up a child indeed, it's for your benefit. It's for your benefit. When you train your children, it is you that will benefit. They will benefit, but you will be you'll be a benefactor. You will benefit also. Consistency is key in parenting. Okay. So there's some quotes I'm going to read out that I think will be able to drive home some points to every one of us. And one of them is, entitlement is a disease of the mind that makes people imagine others are indebted to them. Anonymous quote. Entitlement is a disease of the mind that makes people imagine that others are indebted to them. Nobody's indebted to you. Nobody. When they get back to you, they do not press your name when somebody say, okay, you are not indebted to them. It's a disease of the mind that makes people feel that every other person is indebted to them. That is entitlement. Another quote says, anonymous quote, have you noticed that entitlement is an attitude and mindset of taking, always taking? People with entitlement mentality, children, parents, always want to take. They are not in the business of giving. It's always give me. I collectors. You're collecting. They can never give. But the person that becomes an eye fly is the giver. because givers will never lack. But an entitled child, an entitled parent will always want to take. Don't feel entitled to anything you didn't sweat and struggle for. Anything you don't work for, you've not worked for, don't feel entitled to it. Don't. Very important. Now, success is not an entitlement, it has to be earned. And this is by Howard Schultz. Success is not an entitlement, it has to be earned. Teach your children you must work to be successful. Now, there's a place where God's hand rests upon your labor and gives you favor and amplifies your labor and amplifies your effort. But the truth is that there must be something He has to bless. The labor of your hands, they are blessed. There must be something that needs to be blessed. You must teach your children. Success is not an entitlement, it is earned. You must work, the dignity of hard work. So it's very critical. I've said a whole lot in this conversation. It's already time for us to go. And I believe that we have learned a thing or two. Something must have struck a chord in you. And like I said in the beginning, all of this is not just for us to acquire knowledge. It's for us to be able to implement and get the wisdom and work out this knowledge to be able to make our parenting journey better and produce more results. So I believe that in all I have said today, there is something you have picked that will help better your parenting journey and help you to be a better parent. Thank you, every parent. Thank you so much. Every child can walk. Very true, very true. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us on this conversation. I said something when we started. We started a marathon. And for 2025, it promises to be an amazing year in every conversation. School of Parenting Online Conversation holds every last Monday of every month, 7 p.m. And I believe that you keep joining us on this conversation. And I talked about the fact that we have a YouTube channel, and we would love for you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. The link was dropped initially. It's probably will be dropped again in the comment section. Just click and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're going to be having a little content posted on the YouTube channel. So please, yes, the link is already there. You can click on it and subscribe right now. Subscribe now, not later. No procrastination. Do it right now. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. So thank you, everyone. Our next conversation will be holding on March 31st, 2025. And I believe that you all be present. You bring your friends, your loved ones, and you share your testimony. Yes, that's one thing, very important. Now, if you gain anything from School of Parenting Online Conversation, you put into practice what you hear, and it produces results for you. Please, I would like to hear your testimonies. I would like to hear the results it has produced in the life of your children, your life, your parenting journey. Now, you can actually send a DM to us. I would like to hear from you. Those testimonials. We have been doing School of Parenting Online Conversation for a while, and I know definitely that impact has been made in a lot of families, a lot of households. So I would like to hear from you. I like feedback. I like your testimonials. It's going to help us. It's going to help us boost what we're doing right now. So please do well to send me your testimonials. Thank you, everyone, for joining me on this edition of School of Parenting Online Conversation. Keep following us on our page. Just following us, getting information. And I believe that even as we go on this journey, our lives will be better, our parenting journey will be better, and we all will be amazing and proud parents. Like I always say, to a child, love is spent time. Spend time with your family, because the memories you create are what will live with you is very important. And raise contributors and not just consumers. So thank you, everyone. Thank you. I hope you've had an amazing conversation. I have had one. So see you in the next SOP online conversation. My name is Kite Ahmed, the convener of School of Parenting. Thank you, everyone, for joining me today. Thank you, Choma. I can see you. Thank you, Mr. H.L. Kelvin, Daniel, Brume. Thank you, my amazing husband, Reverend Christian Ahmed, Mrs. Itowa Sareme, everybody that joined. If you cannot mention your name, thank you so much. Love you all. See you in the next edition of School of Parenting Online Conversation. It's bye for now. Bye.